Yes. Unfortunately, I don't hear you.
Okay, so can everyone hear me from the OpenStack PTG?
We can hear you on the Zoom, yeah.
Okay, great, thanks. So we're just going to use a speakerphone for the audio here, so you should be able to hear us, and we can pass it around if you want. I know this is a little bit weird, but right now, for those of you without context, it's the OpenStack project teams gathering, and we have a number of different projects that are involved in Kubernetes in some way who are attending this meeting. So it's kind of a way for everyone to be in the same room and maybe talk about some of the patches that have come up for the SIG OpenStack, and also maybe just do a little bit of planning further on down the road. So I appreciate everyone's patience with kind of the unique situation here today.
Yeah,
and,
no problem. Okay, so I guess I think the main topic we wanted to discuss was the SIG mission scope. And there's been some mailing list discussion on that as well. So I guess, Chris, since you put forward the PR, the actual change we're talking about, do you want to maybe frame it from your side?
Yeah. So can you? Is it actually possible for you to bring that pull request up onto the screen and share it?
Yeah, just give me a second here.
Yeah. So the larger context for this is, so the meeting that we're in right now is the SIG OpenStack meeting, and this is a special interest group inside of the Kubernetes community. Kubernetes, for a lot of pull requests for the Kubernetes project and related projects, will ask that members of the special interest group kind of review the patches and the materials, going into those changes, so that they can kind of have a pool of experts and people who are interested in that to review the patches and provide feedback, and also provide a level of support and governance to the community. So in this instance, we have the OpenStack SIG, which right now its primary what's mostly been working on is how Kubernetes is used as how OpenStack is a deployment platform for Kubernetes, and so OpenStack as a provider to Kubernetes. And so there are patches going into the providers to add features, to add support, to kind of add these things. As kind of as everybody knows, that there's a flip side to this, where Kubernetes can also be a deployment target for OpenStack. And so you want to deploy OpenStack services on top of Kubernetes. And right now there are 4 different projects that are providing providing this, and all of them are providing this in slightly different ways. And so one of the things that we're looking at is, how do we expand the scope of the SIG to make sure that all of these projects feel properly represented within the Kubernetes community and back to the OpenStack community also. And also, how can we leverage the SIG so that changes that are coming in, and and relationships that are built with the Kubernetes community, are done in a way where they're kind of reviewed in this SIG, and it's a place where it's just kind of the known location where contributors and reviewers can share the burden amongst each other for contributing across both communities. So, did I capture that correctly, Steve?
Yeah, that's accurate from my point of view, and I think I think some of the scope has been a little bit implied or open to interpretation, particularly under the old statement we had here, which was just kind of one sentence. So I think what you've proposed is a good attempt to clarify and expand a little bit that scope of this as a shared meeting place, I guess.
Yeah, and so and so this is the pull request against the community page for the OpenStack SIG, which kind of lays this out. This is a CNCF organization, yeah.
First, I remember some people had like commensurate school list. Randomly, it's like people integrated the school list in the kind of thread on Slack channel. Yeah. So, are all people agree with the statement that Chris is describing in this school list? Can you show it on screen?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. So this is the actual pull request right here. So this is the
remember.
This is the full text.
There were like few discussions about
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I might have. I think in the issue I put a link to the thread, so you can look that up if you want. But but essentially it's clarifying that the SIG is a group for coordinating the cross community efforts of the OpenStack and Kubernetes community. This includes OpenStack contributions to Kubernetes projects with OpenStack as a deployment platform for Kubernetes. And so this would be the instance, say in Magnum, or for where Magnum might have features that they want to take advantage of inside of Kubernetes, and they send pull requests to have those features enabled, and to coordinate those. A service provider for Kubernetes, and so this might be the instance where applications like Cinder are providing block storage for Kubernetes applications in some ways, and so this is OpenStack as a service provider, and then which you could almost see as a place to sit in between these two things. If you're not deploying directly on OpenStack, but you're still taking advantage of some services, there may be pull requests that impact that. And kind of the third mode is the collection of applications currently in Kubernetes. And so this includes the efforts from there are two OpenStack Helm teams that are working on this. There's the Cola Kubernetes team that's working on this. There's the Stackonaties team, which is working on this. And so there are a number of teams who have different approaches and are at different levels of, different stages of development, but they all may have shared interests in providing features to Helm or providing features to Kubernetes itself that helps them accomplish their goal of deploying OpenStack. So this is just kind of helping state that the OpenStack SIG is the community within Kubernetes that reviews those patches and helps to have that guidance along, and really be a completely project neutral space for people to contribute back to the Kubernetes community.
So now features and that work all work off of pull request into this SIG.
Right.
Here, that's what initiates that and drives that,
right.
Puts it on the roadmap, and et cetera.
Right.
Yes. Okay. No, I totally agree. That takes the debt off of Kubernetes receiving all these requests from everywhere and things like that. It takes a lot of those off.
So let me explain a bit how feature submission process in Kubernetes happens. So there is some idea that circulates an environment. Like this environment is SIG or something, where people with the same point of view are discussing this. These people are discussing it, and someone can promote this feature, create the design proposal. It's going to be reviewed by top-level owners, so Kubernetes overall. These people, they reviewed. We, at the OpenStack SIG or any other SIG, we promote this feature. Specifically to be the feature, and there's of course some steps with submitting the code base, and then pull requests, commits, and so on. The general. So what are some our goals? OpenStack SIG to follow this process for OpenStack features.
So I have a question. Getting into the brass tacks of this a little bit, what would be an example of something that would be, let's say, approved versus something that would, I don't want to say denied, but how would something get handled if you know where I'm going, because if it's being reviewed I'm hearing that this would be something that we would either help advise on, redirect, maybe this isn't right, maybe you want to do it this way. How would these things kind of play out a little bit? And who makes these calls?
So your feature can be encoded in the general code base of Kubernetes itself. It affects Kubernetes itself. If you provided something that covers like from the specific area of like if it can be like plugin or something like that, your feature can be like described as not the feature Kubernetes itself, but like
Yeah, I mean.
It gets a little bit. And just so you know where I'm going, like it gets a little bit difficult if we're talking about things like I want a feature in Helm, but Helm is in Incubator, right? Not anymore.
Yeah, Helm is graduated.
I'm using it
okay.
as an example. If Helm was an Incubator like 2 weeks ago, then what? How did this go?
So generally the way it works is if a pull request has been tagged with a special interest group, and it might have another tag that says it needs technical review, essentially what those projects are looking for is for somebody who is an expert in that kind of in that domain to come up and just say that yes, this makes sense, yes, this is correct. So examples that I've seen on the kind of deploying on OpenStack side is there might be interactions with Keystone, and there's a pull request that tries to interact with Keystone in some way, and the technical review usually centers around the proper way to handle Keystone tokens and discussion about is this the best approach? Is there something better that we could do? Sometimes it's just a matter of someone from the community saying, yeah, this makes sense, but ultimately it is the responsibility of the
owners.
Yeah, the owners of the projects, and so the final merge authority will always go to the owners. I don't know what the terminology is for
the owners file in.
The file can approve the request, and so the SIGs in a lot of ways are acting in an advisory capacity. So and that brings up another issue too, is that just because something touches OpenStack, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's limited to SIG OpenStack. For example, if there are pull requests that involve testing, then that would be an example that crosses the boundaries of multiple SIGs. And so you would want people from the OpenStack community to say that yes, this makes sense, and this is a reasonable approach. And the testing community would also have to say that this meets our standards, and this is a way that we want to work too. So it's not, and so it's not a matter of exclusivity. It's a matter of identifying who are the interested parties who should be looking at this and providing technical guidance and insight to it.
So yeah, I'll be honest. That the one thing that has been nice with and this is bad, but reaching out with Sarah, right? Is Sarah knows everybody, and she knows, okay, hey, it doesn't quite fit here. It's a great idea. We like this idea, but this is the person we want to talk. It's like a redirect like that for assistance, totally fine. If we have opinion like, I don't know about this, then I start to worry a little bit, because we could like prevent some innovation that would actually, be beneficial to OpenStack or beneficial to the
So in OpenStack, that person really resonates with why +1s matter. It's more about creating a common front in Kubernetes community, so more people can say whether, if I would come to Kubernetes community and say, okay, I think this is a great idea, it will be different if it's me and whole SIG group and a couple other SIG groups. It's more about creating the platform to which you can expose your feature proposal, whatnot, to other people who may be, interested in it and may back you up or provide feedback before you come to, for example, full community. This is why +1s matter in Gerrit even, because if you review the code and see that a lot of people who may not be core reviewers but are interested in this particular +1 the change, code reviewer, it will be much more, much more. I mean, it's easier for code reviewer to see that this change may actually make sense, even though initially I may not totally see it.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah. So when there was.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the current problem that I see in the thing, which is we have so many people in the room, but we do not have people actively working on creating pull requests, creating pull requests. That's the biggest problem that we have.
Yeah.
Right. We get only one provider, and this has happened every single time. People show up in SIG OpenStack, a Slack channel, meetings, but they do not turn into actual code reviews and code requests.
So one way that I want to address that is, so those of you who don't know me, I'm Chris Hodge, and I'm employed by the OpenStack Foundation, and I've been assigned to be a member of the Kubernetes community over indefinitely, at least for the next year, if not long. And so that's going to include volunteering my efforts to the SIG, and both in terms of trying to coordinate activities like this in the different organizations, but also becoming technically proficient enough to be able to review code. And so
The only person we had was Anders Lees, and he's off working on other things.
Yeah.
So related to this, there is one more thing. So the OpenStack exists there because there is code in the core Kubernetes repository, which is called an OpenStack provider, which is there. There is a proposal on the table to separate out the provider as an interface and separate out all the things that are in the main Kubernetes repository in separate repositories. So people like us can work on Kubernetes, our provider, and we can manage our own thing wherever the repository is, whether it is CSPF or whether it is OpenStack. So we need people who will help with that process too. That is a really complicated process because and somebody has to take the lead there. There is some thoughts on the provider interface, but there is no concrete implementation, and there is just thoughts right now. There is not even code.
We don't get like a technical lead.
Right. So we need technical people who are hands-on, and I haven't been able to spend time, which bothers me a lot. But I'm asking for help. So anybody willing to spend some time?
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
And on the other hand, maybe we have within our community we have few patches to Kubernetes itself to help with the release. Actually, maybe it would be nice to have. We didn't probably shout it out in Kubernetes settings. Probably we didn't know that we should. Maybe anyway, maybe it would be good to have some sort of process to keep the current list of outstanding. I don't know, even Etherpad. Current list of outstanding changes.
Yeah. So generally, like a great way to do that is when you submit a patch to a Kubernetes project is to add the SIG OpenStack because. Pardon?
There is the channel for the team.
Okay.
OpenStack, so PR reviews, you should mention it.
Okay.
So I can talk a little bit about the current process that. Yes, if you are not a member of the team, then you can't address the team. So, but let me tell you what people usually do in many of the fixes. There is a Google document for each fix, and in this Google document, you track, the minutes of the meeting, including, PRs that are required for that need reviews and other relevant information. So people, if here we have logs for a meeting, there we have Google Docs. Yes. So, right. Even if you are not going to attend the meeting, if you want people to make some specific, go through it in there, and that's public information.
One thing that I do see a lot lot of use for this is because, as you guys know, you're very close to this, there are so many SIGs that initially, I'm an OpenStack developer or whatnot. I want a feature or I want to start interacting with the Kubernetes community. I've got like 50 SIGs to go through. That piece right there has a lot of value. You know, for instance, so this is why I asked how this would actually work. It kind of stems back because I see a lot of value in the very beginning having help from like this or like saying, okay, there's this feature, like Dean was saying, you know, features are going into Helm to support other projects. Some of these can be coordinated efforts, and this goes into like, you know, SIG apps or SIG this, SIG that. The 2, 3, 4 communities actually benefit from these, so it's an OpenStack thing. We're going into a SIG, we're doing the meeting in it, like you're saying, and that's basically their process now.
Right. And there's a strong possibility that the work you're doing is going to cross multiple SIGs. And that's okay. That's actually
That's where we need.
Even if it originates from SIG OpenStack, but the code is actually making changes to schedule or whatever, right? Then you get redirected immediately.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah.
SIG OpenStack.
Yeah.
So it's a good place to start engaging, so we can all talk to each other. So far.
So I want to be mindful of the time because we have a 45-minute block and we're almost 25 minutes into it. So just based on this pull request right now, does anybody else have any comments or anything?
Collection of applications also run deployment platform from Kubernetes OpenStack. Yes. Collection of application with OpenStack as an application on top of Kubernetes.
I can clarify the language of that. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm happy to clarify the language on that. Yeah, but essentially you can go both ways, or it can go. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's.
We can comment on it.
Yeah. So my proposal in this instance is that we kind of formally schedule the Helm workgroup meetings with the assistance of the SIG. And so we talked about setting up weekly meetings and just kind of reaching out to them and maybe formalizing it a little bit. I mean, and like in Igor and Steve, I don't want to feel like I'm like taking over the group that you're running, but my proposal would be that right now these meetings are run every other week, and we could slot those other meetings in on a weekly basis as we kind of need them, so that every week there's kind of a meeting related to the SIG OpenStack group. So that would be my.
We haven't had like big events at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's why we decided to make this like every 7 weeks. And we still have like enough of this to do stuff every week. So we were still pretty big on that.
Yeah.
If I could say one thing though, what would be nice, similar to workloads and independent space like building and independent space stuff. I see the work diminishing over time with the Helm. Like these things will be resolved, and then we'll be okay. Good, that ship has sailed. We're on to other things. There's going to maintain that heavy meeting. I already know this. Like if we can coordinate something under OpenStack that is OpenStack. Okay, we've got these common issues. Teams are using Helm, and then take that as some items. Then it shortens the debt. Like they don't have have a meeting with different ways. It's a coordinated front.
I see from problems in that site just realizing like that.
Oh,
Yeah, and then we're going to come on to more significant things. Even the same upgrades.
Different problem.
I don't agree with because not for COA, because we have like roadmap for Helm that will allow things like which are not required for the initial deployment, but are required for running OpenStack in the long term. Like for example, not doing accidental upgrades, which I think we discussed a couple meetings ago, and so I would agree that we shouldn't put on Helm community to hold the every meeting because last on this let's make OpenStack SIG.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small part of we should probably have another talk about that.
Yeah.
That outside, but
as we all go along this process, we're going to start sticking to it. Actually, in some ways, I think that are these OpenStack issues, are these storage issues?
No, I agree.
They touch the entire.
I agree the scope is going to increase. What I don't agree is the Helm involvement is going to decrease pretty much.
And I think I don't want to spend the limited time we have here. I think that one of the things that I would like to do is help facilitate the creation of the allocation of resources where they're needed. Make sure that everyone is feeling represented in both.
So my question, Chris, would be, would that be part of the role of SIG OpenStack? And I think it should be to help organize, we have this meeting and just help organize, prepare the Zoom, get the documentation, get the inside out. Yeah, I think that would be great addition to the the mission of the SIG.
I'm hoping it also helps us resolve some of our needs and wishes before we take them up to the groups. Because what happens is we might push some of them away wanting to participate when we spend a lot of time trying to hash out our own issues about what we want and might be different, but really we could probably align on some of the same things. Maybe this is a place to do that before we take them.
Yeah, and where it's technically feasible too, the architecture of Kubernetes and Helm and other tools, they use a model of plugins or interfaces or things like that. That's where the SIG should have the technical know-how to say, okay, this really needs to be a plugin, so you don't have to put the debt on this group.
I think what we're describing down that box.
Yeah, that's my thing.
We said this whole time.
It's to give as much bandwidth as I can for it and to facilitate. Yeah.
That's what I was asking. Maybe not Chris as a person, but SIG OpenStack as a community, right? To maintain the place.
Yes.
So let's make it. I would be happy to help with facilitating, but let's make this an action after the meeting to just create a meeting series and send invites to whatever about the Helm and prepare take the road for any other potential meetings like that should they come around in the future. And to Brandon and Alan's point about yes, I agree we should start by talking to each other. However, from my community guy point of view, I would like us to. I would like at some point, maybe not immediately, to not thinking about we and they, but rather than us, because I hope that part of the original Kubernetes community come to us at some point and will be part of original Kubernetes community. So the line is gonna blur, and it's blurring already.
Yeah.
Right? At least with Helm in core.
Yeah.
Because the problem is you get into two communities, so you feel like one. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I want to avoid, the debating between the groups while we're present
Yeah.
in the other communities.
Right.
That's what I want to get.
Right. Yeah. And that's
Let's do that. Let's do that in our own.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
A lot of the places somebody from Egypt give very good input. So are you doing almost yourself? Coming up with a position and going to the community? It means that we spent on a position.
Oh, yeah, no.
It's very difficult to move on. So
I think
the oversight, you've read on this already.
Yeah,
I think we can take different views. I just think we need to have
no, I mean it's a way to coordinate how we share these ideas, and so presenting them in a way so that everybody is aware of them gives everybody an opportunity to comment. And I mean, so what what we're not doing is it gives an avenue for it just, I mean, from my point of view, it's giving an avenue for how you express the ideas and a forum for discussing them that is in some sense follows community guidelines, right? And that's the main issue. So yeah, so I don't think it's necessarily
We still try to reduce the amount of churn in the market context, right? When we go to talk to somebody about a feature or whatever, general internal meetings about what the thing is already. And so we talk no and then
So one thing if it's okay, is it okay if I put if I time box this at this point, because we have 10 minutes left in the meeting time, and there are a few other meeting agenda items. Okay.
I would just wanted to say that I think this will come naturally simply by we will propose a patch in our SIG, which means our SIG will see it first, which means our SIG will be first to provide the feedback, and it will just come naturally. So first, yes.
how can we interact, like, in different states, can we interact with stacks, like, support narratives? Okay, so if you have, like, some idea to circulate in your environment, like, call out group, right? We need to jump in. That's the end, right? More of us need to be supporting, I think, in every community, and the other way around.
Yeah.
At least so far as we've had a lot of contact with those facts that have been more than happy to help us do that. It's just being better about being better about that. The biggest, I think, like, just getting that word out to those there, like, participate in this.
Yeah.
Even if it's come to a meeting or two, and
Yeah, I mean,
go not,
yeah,
convince someone to fix it, or
yeah, and and my apologies to Steve and Eva for piling in 50 people into the meeting, but that's, I mean, like this meeting, like everybody in this room today is exactly what I'm hoping to facilitate and create. I mean, there's a sense of larger community and contributing, back and forth across both the communities and OpenStack communities. So I think that it's tremendously important, and I think that there's I genuinely believe that OpenStack and Kubernetes are complementary technologies.
like we all believe.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Steve. I think that covers the SIG scope.
Yeah, fair enough. Just quickly, did someone, I know we talked in there about potentially alternating or at least adding the meetings for OpenStack on KDS. Did someone specifically take the action item of setting those up, or at least helping me with adding them to the existing calendar?
I'll take that action item.
Okay, cool. Just checking. Okay. So PR issue review, this time I attempted to at least send out the pre-triage queries yesterday. I did not get a lot of response to those in terms of items people specifically wanted to call out, and I did notice, and this is probably related actually to that, so Angus pointed out on Slack this morning that the Rackspace / Gopher Cloud stuff, we finally got the PR merged to move to the Gopher Cloud / Gopher Cloud implementation, which is significantly newer. A side effect though of that is that a lot of stuff in the queue needs a rebase to pick that up because it was pretty invasive. in a lot of ways. The good thing is it allows us also to move forward with some stuff that's been pending on that for quite some time as well. So just highlighting that. The other thing I quickly wanted to highlight, so it's been sitting in my inbox for a little while, but for Cloud Native Con / KubeCon EU, trying to get a handle on how many folks are planning on attending, because there are some SIG meetup slots available. So if we want one, we need to put the SIG down for it.
In this room, who's attending KubeCon Europe? Please raise your hand.
Not so many.
Yeah.
Well, actually, like, following this idea, we have the Kubernetes Day at the OpenStack Summit that was like chapter. There will be a Kubernetes Day at the OpenStack Summit, like open source days, and like a few open source project days, and one of them is Kubernetes, which will happen at May 9 in Boston. So if someone of you will attend OpenStack Summit in Boston, please go and visit. We're also going to have like a few talks and going to make the like conference process going live in a few days. We are polishing that with Linux Foundation. It happened. And yes, so if you have something to discuss, open stage, Kubernetes.
So on that note, if you need any help with the organizing this thing in Summit, let me know. I'm going to do it.
Absolutely. Actually, almost done, but your help will be appreciated.
Nice. Yeah, sorry, I was just typing in the notes there. So I think unless we get a rush of people who say they're interested in attending KubeCon EU, that we just, those folks who are there can do the same thing we did last time in Seattle, which is just have a more informal meetup over dinner and drinks. It doesn't seem like, based on what I'm hearing, that there's a heap of people going there that, would make sense to have a workshop session or anything like that. And then we can focus more on the OpenStack Summit stuff. Does anyone have anything else they wanted to raise?
Hi, Steve. There's a lot about Kubernetes per se. I just had a general request. So as you may know, in the TC, we are working on how to include Go as one of the possible languages. So if anybody has an idea on something small that we can host here in OpenStack Garret, which we can then figure out infra stuff, how to do logging, how to do configuration management, maybe some support Oslo log format and Oslo config format, and some small command line or a service that will work well with Kubernetes, and using Go.
We may have,
Talk to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you after.
Yeah, and we'll use that as a guinea pig to get some infra stuff done and move things along, and hopefully write up something for the TC to approve. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just capturing that in the notes. All right, so if no one has anything else, I'm glad we had the discussion about the SIG scope in particular. I think, Chris, we probably just leave that PR open for another couple of days, and if people have any further feedback on that mission statement, please provide it in the PR. Otherwise, we'll probably merge it by the end of the week, unless anyone has any objections.
Yes, Steve, I had a request to clarify the language just a little bit further, so I'll be updating that pull request later today.
Yep. Okay, cool. All right, then. Well, with that, we have reached the top of our 45 minutes just about, and also the capacity of my machine to store Zoom recordings. I think we'll call it a day. Thanks everyone for your time.
Thanks, everybody.